this is Mark, and this is the High Road. On today's episode, we're talking to Brandon Kelly, who owns CAS Dispensary. We are going to talk cannabis, movies, so many topics. So check us out.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here and yeah, looking to have some fun today. Yeah, what can we get started and get cooking?
Yeah, so what I wanted to know is there's so many different dispensaries or people in the cannabis business. So what kind of sets your dispensary apart?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think that what we do really well is our customer service. We really put the patient at the center of everything that we do because, we consume and our patients ourselves, I think that with that, we really get on a very personal level with a lot of these patients and people. So we see them as people and not just like dollar signs.
There's so many different strains and people use it for not just recreation, but they actually use it for medical needs. So can you talk a little bit about, like, I think a lot of people don't know, like, sativa, indica, and CBD?
Yeah, no doubt, definitely. So the patient side is definitely a really important issue and or a really important topic to kind of touch on because obviously cannabis does have a lot of these medical benefits. So yeah, of course, like recreationally, a lot of people like to get high right there with them. So I know what that's about. But a lot of people also get the medical benefits even if they are just trying to get high. So that kind of gets intertwined into this medical, recreational kind of cannabis. But yeah, as far as some of the different like strains and varieties, I know like for new people, especially looking at a menu can be a little overwhelming just because there's so many options available. You've got indicas, you've got sativas, hybrids. One of the main things to kind of look for in a product is like the indica sativa that you kind of mentioned. And just in a very broad sense, you can think of an indica being something that's going to be more relaxing, probably better for nighttime, just where you want to kind of take it easy and chill. Those types of varieties typically you can find, and they're typically labeled kind of in categories on a website or a dispensary such as ours. So you can check out ceascollective.com to look at those things. And oftentimes we'll label it like in description too. But yeah, so then that's like your indica is more the relaxing, whereas sativa is generally kind of more energetic or daytime focused for people. Oftentimes it's like fruitier strains. So like one of the ones that we carry is this Pineapple Express. So you can see if I can put it in front of me there. The Pineapple Express. And yeah, this one is one of our signature strains. It's a sativa dominant. So generally better for daytime and that sort of thing. And also has like kind of fruity undertones. So like a lot of people like kind of like that tropical vibe. So yeah, it's kind of like the idea would be if you're smoking a joint, it kind of like takes you to a beach in Hawaii.
I love that. And it's true. Like for me, if I'm going to a concert, I like to just get a sativa, feel uplifted and dance. And for me, indica, I just want to like fall asleep, watch something funny and laugh and pass out.
Yeah, which is also great, like there's just kind of like there's a time and place for everything. So, sometimes if you're at a concert, you want to like, get active and be about it. But like, when you're at home and you're just ready to go to sleep soon, then you're definitely not trying to be on that level. So the indicas can definitely be a much better choice just to like, some munchies and watch a good movie and just go from there.
Totally. And what I like so much about the cannabis industry, as opposed to, I'll just say like alcohol, is there's kind of this subculture. There's kind of a community around it. People growing, people like supplying. It just seems like a lot different than alcohol, which is especially socially, where people hang out, they look at it like, hey, let's hang out, let's smoke, let's chat, let's talk. What do you think like brings that out as far as the community around cannabis?
Yeah, I think there's a really big part of cannabis that plays into like the social side of it. And so I think like in previous years, a lot of stoners have kind of like sought each other out just because it's like, oh, you're like kind of on the same page. Like you understand where I'm kind of like coming from, where a lot of people don't. And that's kind of this whole like stigma that's been around cannabis. So I think that that stigma has almost like created a bonding experience between stoners. And even now it's kind of like, it's a social experience of just like being able to like pass a joint. I think it's very like synonymous to like having a drink with friends. So like, people like to relax and like smoke a joint, have a few laughs together. And I think that that like really plays straight into it.
No, totally. And I noticed too, like I've been to a ton of concerts, say Dave Matthews concert, and even if you don't have a joint, people will pass it around, but no one's going to be passing around like their beer, like in a
Yeah,
whole
that is true. That's a good point. That is actually a good point. I mean, COVID has kind of like changed things where people are kind of like smoking their own joints, I've seen even, but like, I don't know, at the same time, like it's so classic to pass a joint. Like, I mean, I've still even seen it between like close knit group friends and stuff. So it's like not, you're right though. That is really interesting to think like people don't pass their beers around in a circle. So um,
right. It's just that,
yeah, I think yeah, there is definitely this subculture and community that kind of like really digs deeper than just like what we see on the surface. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of like really kind of look into that a little bit more. I think that it's kind of interesting to think about like cannabis because it actually has like endocannabinoids that are kind of similar to what's naturally produced in the body. So cannabis really is kind of has been something that's our bodies have developed like almost like a use for it essentially, and that's why it's so kind of effective in healing. Um, and so yeah, I think with those things like uh, there's a lot of medical benefit that comes from that, and we're just now kind of realizing like what those things are, just because of how long it's been kind of repressed.
no, that's a great point because I hurt my back a couple years ago where I couldn't even walk and I was in a ton of pain and the doctors wanted to give me like hardcore pain meds and I was like, no, I'm just gonna do weed because I don't want to get like have that addiction to the pain meds. And I know medical, like some of the doctors kind of resisted, but for me, I knew like was a lot better way to go just because I won't have to deal with all the side effects. And I didn't want to have that hungover feeling of taking those meds. So I was right there with you. And I was doing CBD and regular THC.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's interesting you say with the CBD, there's a lot of like health and benefit topics and things that are kind of circulating around. But what's interesting is that there has been a lot of studies that have shown that a 1-to-1 ratio of THC to CBD is the most effective for pain. So that actually makes a lot of sense that, that you'd want to combine those things after a surgery, after you're in a lot of pain. Yeah, that's really cool. Something else I would like to think about too is, or note is, there's been studies that have shown that people are using less medications being like painkillers when they're using cannabis, which I think is huge.
No, that is a great point. So let's get into some of the strengths, some of the ones that you really like want to talk about, some of your favorite strains. What would those?
Yeah, no doubt. So some of like our really good ones that we have at the moment and that I've liked in the past is the Snowman. And I'll just pick it up here for a second. Um, yeah, so the Snowman is one of our really good ones here. And like we were talking about before, it's an indica. So it's definitely better for like the nighttime, taking it easy. A lot of our like medical patients prefer it because of like its sedating effects and like the pain relief that it gives. So yeah, that would be kind of like one of our solid ones that I've enjoyed. The Pineapple Express is another favorite that I had showed earlier. And that one in like is a little bit more sativa like in daytime. And yeah, it's kind of interesting too. Like there's a trend between growers. It seems like a lot of indoor like indica, whereas kind of like outdoors seems to be more like sativa leaning. I'm very generalizing this, but yeah, it's interesting. You see more like sativa outdoors than you do sativa indoors.
That's interesting. Well, which one grows higher?
So that would be a sativa. The sativas, if you were to kind of look out into like a field, you would see like really tall ones. They're usually kind of like strung out, like the leaves are like very flat and like kind of spread out almost like within their stalks. And then the indicas are typically kind of more like fat and bulky. Um, and so yeah, those are kind of like some of the like just differences that you could see in them, like by the plant. Um, a lot of like connoisseurs at some point can kind of just look at the plant or the bud and know like kind of what effects it's going to have, which is interesting. So yeah, those are some of the cool things about it.
That is pretty interesting. The other part too is I noticed that yours are really strong. Like the THC content's like 25, 30%. So that is kind of unique. Sometimes you see some that are like half. So what's the difference? Why does that matter when you're getting your weed on?
Yeah, that's a good question. So THC has been kind of like in the cannabis industry has just become synonymous with like the effects that it gives you. And so like generally people like to just find those really high hitting strains, just based on like dollar value too. So like yeah, essentially like we like to carry just like very potent products and just carry it like at a very like affordable prices. That way, like we're really meeting a consumer like exactly where we are as consumers. So yeah, that's something like we kind of are developing like that kind of vertical integration model to be able to offer those good prices at like with the really high THCs, which is what people are kind of looking for. So yeah.
Yeah, everyone definitely wants some value for sure. Now, the next part I want to kind of do some rapid fire questions. If
Yeah.
you're ready.
Yep. Let's do
All
it.
right, here we go. So, favorite food while stoned?
I would have to say the mac and cheese is the option there.
You-
Maybe a little bacon if it's available.
Pizza or fries?
Generally pizza, because then also like you can eat it the next day too, whereas fries I feel like are a little bit less like enjoyable.
This is the very important one. Favorite movie while stoned?
I would have to say Pineapple Express, honestly. That one is a classic. I think that it's kind of hard to believe it was like 10 years ago at this point, but like I think those guys they really nailed it as far as like the whole subculture and like all the stigmas around cannabis, and then just really like making a scene and a comedy out of it. So I think that that one for sure.
You can't go wrong Pineapple Express, and that's probably why you had to have that strain, Pineapple Express.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's definitely a lot of like a lot of influence from that movie. So yeah, I think that the name like definitely pops for people. It's like definitely something people want to try. And like then once they do, it's kind of one of those things you're like, yeah, you know what? Like this makes sense. It's like
Oh, totally. And that's a classic movie, and I can't believe it is 10 years. That just kind of flew by.
yeah, it's definitely one of those like classic stoner movies that I think like Cheech and Chong kind of have like been in that role for some time, but those guys were like pretty big in like the 60s, 70s. So that was like that was some time ago. And I think there's room for new cannabis icons in that sense.
We definitely had to upgrade. And actually, you were actually mentioning Howard and Kumar, and you had a very interesting take on the Howard and Kumar.
Yeah, that's actually a good point there. I think for like Harold and Kumar, it's they were obviously stoners, but they were like the productive stoners. And that was like the first movie that kind of came around where they I think Harold or Kumar, I always get them confused. One of them was in med school, and then the other one was kind of like business savvy. And then, but they like to get high, and that's just like one of the things that they did amongst a lot of others.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was cool to have that movie. And I think that it was kind of really the first time that it portrays stoners in a different light beyond just like the classic typical, the stereotypical, lazy stoner stereotype that it really breaks that mold and puts some comedy around it. And, that's those things are things that people like.
Totally. And then put White Castle back on the map too. So I'm sure they were pretty excited about that. Here's another one. If you could smoke out with anybody, who would it want? Who could be alive or dead?
That's a really good question. If I could smoke out with anyone alive or dead.
I'll give you people too.
Honestly, like if it was possible, I would smoke with George Washington, because I think that like I was reading into this a bit, like, so he grew hemp, and I was like, there's like a journal note that he made that kind of referenced him smoking it, but like I don't think he really like wanted people to like know it. So like I think that if you could go back in time,
that would be amazing.
Yeah, like I think that would be a great experience to talk to the first president, kind of get some of his input, because he grew hemp. I mean, like he grew cannabis, like it was hemp, and it was only really a fraction of time that cannabis was illegal. Most of the time, even in the U.S., it's been legal, and so it's really interesting. I think he would have some like probably like a lot of insights.
That would be a fun guy to talk to. I mean, who better than the first president, and to just smoke out and kind of pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. It'd be fun.
Actually, all the founding fathers would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, right. If you could get them all in that circle, kind of like that 70s show.
Now, current celebrity, who would you want to smoke out with?
Current celebrity, I'd probably say like Elon Musk, if you consider him a celebrity. Yeah, I think he kind of like fits in that realm. I don't know, I think like he would probably like, he seems like a person that probably has a very like interesting like personality, like probably has some pretty like funny crack end jokes, I think, that he could tell in private that would be hilarious. So yeah,
and I think he would definitely pay out for whatever you're smoking, for
sure. Oh yeah, of course, right? I mean, you would hope so. So like it would be fun for sure.
That would be fun, and then maybe you'll get launched to outer space as well, so that's like a win-win.
Sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like, all right, like we could go to space or we could go to space. It's like, I'm in.
That's fun. Maybe you should get like an Elon Musk strain and then have him, have it all tied together.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I think at some point, like when, I think at some point that's definitely a possibility. I think that like we can get some people's faces on the weed and yeah,
that would be a fun one. Yeah. All right, so we got the holidays coming up. Wanted to see if you got any promotions or deals for anybody out there, and if so, is there like a little promo code that we could pass along?
Yeah, of course. So one promo code that we do have for all the time is FTP20. And that's going to be first-time patients. They always get 20% off on their first orders. So those are good things. It's also ceasecollective.com. And that's an A if you see.
Good background, I love it.
Yeah. But I think those are definitely one things. And then we're doing some holiday specials, definitely. So Black Friday is definitely our biggest one for the year. And we're doing some exclusive drops that I can't quite talk about yet, but we do have some gift cards as well that we're introducing. And what's cool about those is that when you purchase them, you actually get a higher value on the card. So yeah, we're kind of like doing that as like a gift, give back to all of our patients. And then yeah, we're gonna have some Black Friday bundle bags that are gonna be like a lot of like our top flowers and some of the jars that we showed. So yeah, those are some of the things to look out. It's going to be a lot of our best ones and like a good deals.
So for all those people out there trying to score like a new TV and a new gaming thing, you got to pair it with some cannabis as well.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, of course.
That is a like a great gift for anybody out there. I mean, who wouldn't want a nice quarter ounce coming their way?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I think if anyone, and what's cool about in the cannabis culture, I think that like everybody's always like kind of like gifting weed here and there, and it's just like it doesn't matter. Like even if you grow weed, it's like somebody gives you weed, you're always like, oh sweet, this is perfect, it's exactly what I wanted. Like,
oh, absolutely, right. It's good for them. I love it.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool gifting culture around that. Yeah, you know, it's just like even the edibles too are good ways to like introduce it to your friends that may not be like, you know, kind of unsure about it. So yeah, there's always something for everyone.
Buddy, what areas are you currently in right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we started around San Francisco, and so we're like in the Bay Area, and then that covers like all the cities from like San Francisco down into Mountain View in that area. And then also in Los Angeles, we kind of like work mainly in Hollywood and West Hollywood right now with our delivery service. But you know, honestly, like we always are able to work with people if they really are interested in our products. So we always make it happen. But those are kind of our main delivery, like order and get it right now type things.
Brandon, it's been such a pleasure talking with you today. We learned so much in the world of cannabis. We got some promos. We talked all sorts of different movies and shows. I'm so happy we got to spend this time chatting.
Of course, Mark, I definitely appreciate you having me on the show here. I've had a blast talking to you and just kind of thinking back on the Pineapple Express and, you know, just some of these things as a stoner, you kind of like, you know, maybe skip your mind a few times, but it's good to kind of think about it and have a little bit of fun while you're doing it. So yeah, you know, honestly, I've had a great time with you today and look forward to, you know, speaking with you and, you know, being able to maybe pass a real joint someday here soon. So.
And Brandon, thanks again. Yes, let's sit down and do that 70s show style. That would be incredible. For everybody else out there, we have all sorts of different guests. We'll smoke out with people in the entertainment industry, talk to some interesting people in the world of cannabis. It's the pilot episode of The High Road. Thanks for watching.